What is going on, my people? Guys, I have a question for you, and that is like, do you have a business? Are you also working full time? And do you have kids? And do you have any idea how to get back the time in your day to actually be able to grow a successful business? Well, that is the topic we are going to be here today to talk to you guys about, because this is something that we've been able to personally master through the process of a lot of pain. And we want to save you that pain and help give you the roadmap to not only growing a hugely successful business, but at the same time, being able to rock your day job and being the parent and the spouse that you truly want to be, because you can make it all happen when you know today's secret. All right. Now, it's not going to be necessarily a secret. It might be one to you, but I really want to help. We both really want to help to reframe this and then give you some options so that you can actually create more time in your day. If you feel like you get to the end of the day and you're like, man, I did spend time in my business, but I didn't spend time with my family. I had to sacrifice my health. I had to sacrifice my sleep. Or you're like rocking your career, right? But they're giving you so much overtime that when you get home, you don't have time to spend with family. You don't have time to work on your business. No matter what, today's topic is going to be a powerful one for you. Definitely stay around to the end. We're going to give you not only the framework to follow, but a way of you to connect with us if you want some additional help, and also show you the thoughts, the fuel that you're going to have in here, the belief system that we're going to really attack today to help you not only show up on an entirely different level, but to take things off your plate instead of continuing to put more on. All right. So that is a topic of today. Stay with me till the end. I promise you, we're going to over deliver. So guys, welcome to Modern Leadership, where we see things differently. We help entrepreneurs become modern leaders so they can excel in their personal and professional lives. We do that via quick short tip videos on Mondays and Thursdays, and longer episodes on the weekend, Saturdays, usually at 9 a.m. Pacific time, where we get to personalize this for your specific leadership role. My name is Mark Hildebrand. This is my amazing wife, Teresa. We are both people who've not only struggled with this specific situation, but found ways of like navigating through it. First one being, I was a full-time law enforcement officer, creating my own life coaching business, co-creating my own life coach school, being a parent to two small kids. And then somebody's like blowing up my phone right now. And also at the same time, having to get into the best shape of my life. And I was able to do that, which is crazy because back when I was overweight, back when all I was giving was just to my family, I didn't realize that there were some pieces that were, completely missing from the puzzle. As a matter of fact, like it was actually preventing me from like becoming the person that I am today, because I really did believe that I didn't have enough time. Yet I was doing a quarter of what I'm doing today. I actually had a one-on-one session with one of the people in our life coach certification. She wants to build a business, so she's working with me one-on-one, and we're having this conversation about time management. And she was asking me like, how is it that you're able to like be so effective with your time? And what's crazy is like, yes, there's some tactics. We're going to teach you that today. But a lot of it is like the mindset that you must understand when you are a business owner slash parent slash CEO of your company slash job slash whatever you have on your plate, is really seeing it from a different perspective, like we talk about here on Modern Leadership. And what's crazy is this person is actually doing way more than I am, but it wants to get to the point in their business where I currently am. And it doesn't have to do with the fact of doing more. As a matter of fact, you're going to learn today, it's about doing less and about changing those stories. So guys, welcome to the call. Teresa, you want to give them a real quick intro to you in case they have never been here to the channel?
Yeah, so welcome. I'm Mark's wife, and I'm here with him every Saturday talking about a bunch of great stuff. But I was working full time and feeling the burnout from, having to deal with the fact that my husband was a law enforcement officer and busy schedules, and also having small children. But we made it through, and we talk about a lot of those things, bits and pieces of how we were able to not only get through that season of our life, but then actually create a business on top of that, and how we've been able to really thrive. Even though we have a lot of stuff going on. So I particularly help mom entrepreneurs with that kind of managing that balance between life and business. So, I like to bring in my own spin on things as well.
I love that. I love it. I love it. And like when I even think about that, like I'm going to say like with all of the ideas related to like mompreneurs and just being a mom, there's a lot of like society pressure that kind of like makes you kind of looks like it's like trying to force you into like being able to wear everybody's hat at once, being able to have like make everybody else happy, to like really be able to like control the entire situation. So I can only imagine what that's like, which is why I love having Teresa on, because she is a different style of leader than I am, but she's like even more effective than I am in so many different areas. And one of these things, like when I think about like society norms in terms of like additional things that you kind of like are putting on your plate, it kind of gets you into this thought of like, this is the way that it has to be because it's always been that way. But today we're going to learn something way different. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When it comes down to the basis of this, when it comes down to when it comes down to logic, we have to find ways as parents, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, which is kind of the same thing, but also as people, whether it's police officers, like within your specific field, we have to find ways that can make us so that we can achieve more without having to be doing more. Here's what I mean. When you're opening your mind to the possibility that there's another way to achieve more without having to do more, and you put yourself in an environment to find it, whether it's, watching our YouTube videos, being a part of one of our programs, being a part of one of our one-on-one programs, like whatever that is, like making sure that you put yourself in that environment, you're going to be able to find it. Let me give you a perfect example, okay? Because I talk to a lot of coaches, not only because I have my own, I co-created my own life coach school, but that's a lot of what the entrepreneurs that find me, like they want to create a successful coaching business. If, for example, you have a coaching business and you have one-on-ones that you're doing with people, where that's how you're making your primary source of income. Well, when you think about it, like in the beginning, it's a great way to start your business. But when you start to get to the point where you're full and all your schedule has one-on-ones, but you still want to be able to create more, right? You want to have more of a substantial income. You want to make bigger of an impact. If your brain is telling you, no, you have to continue to do one-on-ones, you're going to be forcing that, thinking that you have to work harder. But what if I told you like there's other ways to do that? What if instead of having 17 different clients, each one has a half an hour, an hour every single week, you had one call that was maybe an hour to an hour and a half where everybody got invited to that call, and you can give them the same kind of energy. You could help, coach them one-on-one. You can give them group training, and you can make a bigger impact in less time, and make more money. Like that is the possibility. That is just one possibility, but the number is infinite. But everything we're going to be talking about here today, if you don't get it, that you're like, no, I have to do things the way that I've always done, this video training is not going to help you. You have to be willing to see things differently. You got to look at it from, instead of being an employee, being a CEO, right? Instead of just instead of being an employee or a police officer, you got to look at it in terms of like, let's say a supervisor or somebody else, looking at it from like the bird's eye view. When you're able to do that, you can see spots that you can achieve more. You can make a bigger impact without having to spend that extra time. Now, there's a word for this in business. I'm going to share with you right now. It's called outsourcing, okay? Outsourcing. Now, it's not a sexy word. Some people would run from that word. I want to give you the definition of it, and I want to share some ways that you're going to be able to get more done in less time, and it's not like how you think, all right? So outsourcing is a business practice of hiring a party outside a company to perform services or create goods that were traditionally performed in-house by the company's own staff. So instead of you or your staff performing those things, you pay somebody else, generally it's a lot less money, to perform it. And not only do they perform it, generally you're talking to people who do it way better than you. So when you're outsourcing, example, video editing, podcast editing, outsourcing like cleaning your house, outsourcing like washing your car, doing all those things, you're generally giving it to more of a professional who's going to do a better job so that it will free up your time and space. Now, outsourcing is an extremely time and cost-effective way when it's done correctly. So it'll give you back your time and it will give you back your money when you do it correctly. Now, before we get into some of the strategies that we're going to talk about here today, like how you can outsource, like even if you're just getting started in your business, we got to attack one thing first, and that is your belief system about outsourcing. Do you know what could hold you back the most from actually leaning in and creating the business that you want to create? your thoughts about it, your beliefs, your stories, what you have going on in here that is preventing you from doing these things. Now, I'm going to talk about this related to like business owners, but even if you're not a business owner, this absolutely can help you in any area you're looking to excel at, especially when the only thought you have is like, oh, I have to do more. I have to take more overtime. I've got to work harder. Instead of that, I want you to think about things in a different way, like how we're going to talk about here today. So I really want to tackle three main thoughts that come up anytime that I'm having a conversation with a business owner, talking to them about this. They're like, Mark, how do you get so much done? Like, I need to get more done in less time so I can have time to sleep and do all these kind of things. These are the three like biggest thoughts that prevent them from actually being able to find answers to that. All right. So Teresa, do you want to go down number one?
Yes. So the first one is I need to earn more before I outsource. Now, this is because the idea of outsourcing has this connotation that you have to actually pay someone to do what it is that you want them to do. Now, the definition that Mark gave was a company hiring an entity or some agency hiring, which would mean that you would pay them, right? But outsourcing is broader than that when we're talking about this, because this is just giving someone else a task that you don't necessarily need to do so that it can free up time. But people will get in their mind that outsourcing is something that's going to be expensive and they can't afford it. And that's not necessarily the case. So that means when someone is just starting off in their business and they're not making a profit, when they think about outsourcing, they're like, I can't do that because I haven't earned enough money to be able to have that luxury. And that's also something that's kind of attached to this as well. Because if you're saying, I need to earn more money before I outsource this, it's because, oh, it's a luxury. It's a luxury to be able to pass things on to other people to do it for me, right? Because you could even apply it to life in general. I can't hire someone to come and clean my house because I don't make enough money. Like I don't have the disposable income to be able to have someone come and clean my house. So it's kind of like that same idea.
Yeah, 100%. And like even just thinking about what you just said right there, if you are like convincing yourself you don't have money to outsource that, that means that you have to do all of those activities that they would typically do. And how much time and energy do you have to do what's called the income producing activities? You have zero. You're putting together your website. You're putting together your graphics. You're putting together your videos. You're putting together your podcast. You're putting together your posts. You're putting together your photos. Guys, how much time do you actually have to sell? Does any of that make you guys have a business? I hope you said no, because nobody transfers money to your account from Facebook. All right. They transfer your money to your account when you're like, you want to work with me one-on-one? You want to go through our coaching, training? Do you want to go through our leadership program? That is what it is. And so when you're doing this stuff, you can't do this stuff. It's not physically possible, guys. We all have 24 hours in a day. We're talking about like people who are extremely busy. I said full-time parents, also full-time, like working full-time and doing a business. You have to do the most important activities. And if for you, those are taking up the primary amount of your time, that's why your business isn't growing. All right. So when you have this thought of like, I can't give this up, I can't pay for this, how long do you want to keep your business at the level it is right now before you level it up? All right. Because logically, it doesn't make sense. You continue to do those low level activities, you're going to continue to get low level results in your business. But when you have somebody who can do those things probably better than you could and much faster, because guess what? They don't have the brain that's like going to tell them like, what are these people going to think? No, they're like, no, I got to send these messages to 50 people. No, I've got to do this thing. I've just got to edit this video. I just got to do this. They don't overthink it like us because it's not their business. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times we pay them, and for me, it feels like I don't pay them enough because they come back with like amazing stuff. And I'm like, I would have never been able to do this. It would take me twice as long. All right.
Yeah.
So when you think about this, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's just, it's about time, right? Because time is your most valuable asset. That's kind of how, you'd want to think about it. Because if I can free up this amount of time, but what are the most valuable things that I can do? Like Mark said, the income producing activities that will help me create great momentum, right? But
Yep.
if we get stuck in the mindset of, I am not earning enough to be able to outsource this, that means you're not freeing up that time. And that time can be used to do those things that are actually going to improve your business. But another thing is, because time is so valuable, it's because it's going to allow you the space to be able to think more clearly.
Hmm.
It's going to allow you time to sleep because how many of us have problems sleeping or don't have enough time to sleep because we're doing so much, and the first thing that goes is the things that will help us in our well-being,
Hmm.
like sleep. So it's just kind of like this like ripple effect when we start to think a little bit differently.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, guys. So that one was a little bit deep, but that was I need to earn more before I outsource, right? That is a story that you could tell yourself that's actually going to keep you stuck. Second one is I need to pay someone to outsource. This is Teresa kind of brought this up a little bit in the beginning, but you don't have to pay people to outsource. You also have family, you have friends, you have teammates. You could actually team up with other coaches. Like you can, trade some of your skills for their skills. There's infinite number of possibilities. You're just limited to what you currently know right now. But let me tell you, there's so many more things out there. All right. There's a million different ways that I've learned to outsource, and I teach people how to outsource because I know that there's an unlimited amount, even despite what I currently know, right? You do not have to pay someone to outsource. All right. Having that thought of I have to pay them is not true. There's people in your life that you can ask to do things. We'll talk a little bit later about who you can ask to do that. But thinking that you have to pay somebody to do that also is a trap that you will get yourself into that will have you not thinking outside the box. All right, number three.
Number three is, I'm not at a certain level in my business to outsource.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is going back to my example of, hiring somebody to clean your house. I'm not making enough money to do that. I don't have the luxury to be able to do that. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like, oh, well, I haven't gotten to a certain level. Or maybe you even start to think about, well, I don't have enough stuff to
Yep.
give someone else. But
Mm-hmm.
then you turn around and you're like, I have too much stuff to do. It's
Yep.
kind of like we're going back and forth. And it's just like, it's another version of self sabotage because in order for you to be able to get to that level that you're at, you have to be able to have help. It's like you can't do this on your own. But that can be also preventing you from getting to that certain level. But it doesn't matter what level you're at. The sooner you get started with outsourcing, the faster you're going to get to whatever level you want to get. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It could be the smallest thing that you outsource. It's not thinking about like, oh, I have this huge business and I have all of these components and now I need to do this. No, the sooner you get started, the better.
Yeah. And here's this I'm not at a certain level in my business to outsource is one that I hear a lot. It's like I don't know what to give them. I don't have enough stuff. And it's because there's a thought in here that says you have to have 40 hours worth of work in order to hire somebody.
Mm.
Guys, you can hire somebody for 5 hours a week. You can hire somebody for an hour and a half a week. What would it feel like to take the things you absolutely hate to do off your plate and never have to do them again? Never even have to think about it. All you had to do is transfer $30 to this person's account once a month, and then you would never have to think about doing that again. What kind of actually space and silence in your brain would you have to actually be able to create new things that actually move your business forward, right? So that one leads us naturally into what we want to teach you here today. And I was like, how do you identify what to outsource? Okay. So these first three thoughts, we spent a lot of time on thoughts because that will prevent you from doing the things we're going to talk about here today. If I had just been telling you and just started off this video of okay, guys, here's 5 tips on how to outsource, and your brain is telling you, well, my business isn't big enough, I have to pay somebody for this, and I need to earn more before I can do this, it doesn't matter what I'm about to tell you. It's all irrelevant. But if you're willing to think about this differently, you're willing to be a modern leader, a modern business leader, these are the steps that we're going to tell you to take because it's going to be super powerful and helpful for you. Now, I do have a caveat for this too. This is not a once and done thing. As you grow, you're going to take things that maybe you're doing right now and also take them off your plate. And then as you continue to grow, you take on more things and you remove them from your plate. Would everybody agree that as a CEO, you're doing different activities than a manager would be doing? As a manager, you're doing different activities than a frontline worker would be doing. And if the CEO is down here doing these, he's not able to do his business. He's not able to do his job, which is the general overall arching theme of everything, right? He has to look at everything and move the pieces around versus somebody who's a manager versus somebody who's like the employee, right? And so we have to realize that this is something you have to do consistently, where I will every 6 months go through and examine the activities I'm doing, see what I can outsource, see what I can remove, do all the things we're going to talk about here today. Because as I grow, the things that I do change too, okay? So first off is identifying the 80-20. Now, this is something that I do with every single one of my one-on-one clients, is we identify this specific 80-20 in their life. I'll explain to you what I mean in a minute, but it's very personal. I have a tracker that I use inside of my other programs where it's kind of like a group-based tracker, because I found that primarily there are certain activities that people who see massive success when it comes to their business and their personal life and their family, they're doing certain things, but it's really individual for that person and for that family and for that business. So when I one-on-one, I want to make sure that I identify the actual things that they need to do. Now, what I mean by the 80-20 is that simply some things matter more than others. So if you think about things in your life, whether it's your family, whether it's your health, whether it's your business, there's some things that you do, those are the 20% activities, they produce 80% of the results in that specific area. Example, business is me getting on a coaching call, doing one-on-ones, offering the ability of joining one of my programs. Those are the 20% activities that make me money, 80% of the money that I make. The other 80% of stuff that I do, posts, videos, guys, you aren't paying me for this YouTube video, are you? And I'm not monetized on YouTube yet, right? This stuff, this is the 80%. It's the bunch of stuff that I do that maybe produces like the remainder 20% of my income. But it's also not the most important stuff. So as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a parent, as a police officer, whatever, you want to identify what are those most important activities, because you are 100% going to want to do the 20%. You're going to, especially in the beginning, want to like dive in and do those things because those make the biggest impact to you, your business, your family, your relationships, anything. Let me give you an example for family, okay? So probably 80% of the time, you're like driving them places, you're maybe helping them with homework, you're maybe just around watching TV with them, you're just like, cooking dinner, you're doing laundry, and they're in the same room. Those are like, they move the needle a little bit, 20%. But the 20% that really move the needle with your family is probably those intentional times. Maybe the times you're unplugged, you're playing a board game, you're going to Disneyland, you're doing something that is like more connecting than just watching a movie where nobody's actually paying attention to each other. So identify those 20% and keep doing that. And we have to figure out a way for that 80% to outsource it, okay? Now we're going to talk in a second on how to outsource that. But really, I just want you to become aware of it, all right? So think about the activities that you're doing. If you're thinking just business, you're thinking just family, just whatever, like just zone in on, okay, what are all the things that I do? I would typically write it out and look, what are the most important things, all right? You're going to make sure that those stay on your plate for right now. Now, the 80%, this is when we have a conversation with, all right? So step number 2 is asking yourself, does this even need to be done? Does it need to be done? Some things you've been doing forever just because you've done them forever. They aren't moving the needle. They aren't doing anything at all. As a matter of fact, they're wasting a lot of your time. So the first thing you want to ask is like, this 80% doesn't even need to be done at all. Because if it doesn't need to be done at all, it could just be eliminated. And that is like literally just a time giver. It just gives you back that time, right? Now there's going to be some things that you maybe can't say like, I just want to completely eliminate them. But I want you to really think about this. Like, what are some of these things that I absolutely don't need to do? Nobody needs to do. It's not moving the needle at all. And even though my brain tries to trick me into think it's important because I've always done it, they aren't actually important. And then remove those things. Now, step number 3 is what Teresa's going to get into. Go for it.
Okay, so could you do it less often?
Yeah.
With technology that we have, sometimes we can do things less often. So take advantage of some of those things. Now, we're not going to like rattle off like a bunch of different systems or technology that you can use, but just think about it. Think about something that would help you, that would actually make you do less of the actual activities. Now, I have an example where, so AI is a big thing right now, right? And I use the graphic design Canva. A lot of people use that for, creating graphics or just creating like really pretty things for social media. Now they have a thing that's called Magic Write, like WRITE, and it can actually help you in terms like if you have a block, a mind block, or what is that called?
Yeah, on my
A
blog.
No, it's called something else. Writer's
Roadblock?
block. There you go.
Okay.
Writer's block. So let's say you're trying to write a post and you're like, oh my gosh, this is taking me an hour and it's not a good use of your time, right? So what if you like gave it a little prompt? You just write there, write, um, you know, an inspirational quote or something. And it'll pop something up for you. And it's just to give you obviously you don't want to copy it, right? But it's just to give you that little push so that you're not like in your head trying to like create this perfect post that a few people are going to see, to be
Mhm.
honest. So it's just things like that, using
Mhm.
technology to your advantage so that you can do that, or a scheduling post scheduler or something like
Mhm.
that, using that so that you can actually use the time or schedule a time when you're the most on point when it comes to, hey, this is what I want to talk about this week. I'm going to write these posts, I'm going to have a picture, and I'm going to schedule it so that way during the week I don't have to worry about it. So those are some of the examples of being able to use technology so that you're doing less.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and when you think about that, like even when you were talking about social media, if like that is your 80%, which it is for most of us, is the 80% that produces the 20% results, it's still important to
Hmm.
do, right? But what if you did less of it? Meaning, what if you sat down one day on Sunday, spent 30 minutes, brainstormed all the different activities that you had? Like you said, it was the time when you were like most on point with your brain and you didn't have to do it any of the rest of the week. Like that would literally be every single day would give you that time back because you did
Hmm.
that one thing. You did it less often, but when you were laser focused, you had like all the different ideas. How many of you guys have days where the ideas are flowing from you and some days it's like this is like taking forever to write this email. I literally took like 40 minutes this morning like writing an email. And I'm like, why am I doing this, right? It's because I need to lean into like the times when I feel most on point and that's when I'm going to be doing it so that I don't have to do it later. So such a key point. All right. And number four, the fourth question is who else could do this for you? So, who else could do this for you? I'm going to talk to you, or we're going to talk to you about 5 different ways that you can outsource. All right. There's infinite numbers of ways of outsource, but I want to tell you the things that we found to be the most beneficial for us right now. But really asking yourself, like, okay, so I have these 20% activities that I need to do. I have these other 80% activities, and I've removed the ones that I couldn't do. I figured out ways of doing the other ones less. Now, how do I outsource this? All right. So, Teresa and I are going to talk to you about 5 different ways. We're going to go through this super quick. All right. Number one is you can outsource it through a family member. It could be a kid, it could be your wife, it could be your husband. I mean, if you have a business and your significant other wants to help so that you can, successfully leave a job or successfully grow a business, like having them come in and help. Doing the things that you number one probably hate and aren't good at, but also just doing things like copying and pasting things, maybe posting up posts, or maybe just going and liking everybody's comment, or sending them a random message, or like whatever that is that you're doing right now that you think is that's not that you think that is actually moving the needle, asking somebody to do that. I mean, more than likely, like your kids are probably wanting to get some kind of like monthly payment for something, right? They want what is that called? Every single week they get paid.
Allowance.
Allowance. Maybe they want an allowance. And you're like, perfect. Spend 10 minutes a day doing this thing and you'll be able to get your allowance. Not only that, guys, it gets them involved. When your
Hmm.
significant other or your kids see the impact that you're making, especially if you're a coach and you're like, people are sending you messages like, you literally changed my life with that conversation, with that one-on-one, like literally it just changed everything for me. They're gonna be like, wow, like that's awesome, dad. Like that's awesome, mom, that you were able to do that. You actually get that buy-in. So the first way is from family members. Second way, you kind of mentioned this before, Teresa, but what is it?
Yeah. So a computer or a program or system. Like I said, there's tons of things out there. Just think about like the task that you want to do and do a little bit of research. Just go in there and think about some of the things that you that can actually help you with that particular task. There's tons of things, even like entire workflows. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have something where your business is at a point where you have multiple clients and you have to try to figure out how to manage everything and keep everything organized, there are tons of different systems and programs out there that can help you with that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think of like email programs that like when people click on a link, it automatically sends them the next email. And then every single week it sends them a follow
Mhm.
up to make sure that they know that to be on the call, and like calendar systems so that you don't have to physically manually go back and forth with somebody to pick things up. Like, I mean, if you have a podcast, that's really important. That's what we used to do when we had podcast guests on, is send that out because we don't want to have to manually go through and have a conversation with somebody. We can set something up once and then just forget it, right? So many different Facebook ads. Like if you're like, I want to reach more people, but I don't want to physically do it. Well, you outsource that to Facebook. You pay Facebook money and then Facebook finds those people. I mean, it's probably how you got connected with me, was through something like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, right? And it's like using computers and technology and leveraging it to be your outsource vehicle. All right. The third one is a friend. Okay. A friend. And here's what I mean by a friend. I kind of talked about this last week, but it's like we have like, let's say, coaching businesses. All right. And there's other coaches who also have like coaching businesses, and they're trying to succeed as well. What if we were to like team up with them? What if this week I ran the coaching call and next week my partner ran the coaching call? Hint, that's what I do in my life coach certification. Is I run calls on Saturdays and Josh runs calls throughout the week every other Tuesday or Wednesday, because we like divide and conquer. Number one is I'm really good at teaching and training and getting people to like to develop their coaching skills, and he's really great at the sales and marketing and really the subconscious mind. And we both play our strengths in a way that makes it so that we don't have to take on everything ourselves. So think about this. What are ways that you can do this? Maybe you can have like a monthly workshop, but you run the workshop this time and they run the workshop next month. Or you work together and you're both on the workshop at the same time, because maybe you don't like that weird and awkward pressure, which is why like having Teresa on the live calls, that's why I have her here too, because like she has awesome feedback, but also at the same time, it allows me to think and I don't have to be constantly talking for like 60 minutes, right? And so it's ways of finding like a friend or somebody you can team up with. That is another version of outsource. Fourth way, which is something that probably everybody would thought first, that is like finding a virtual assistant. It's somebody to really help you out. Now, I know that sometimes like people who struggle with finding virtual assistants, and if you do, reach out to me, let me know. It's really just finding somebody that's going to be able to take care of those other activities that a human has to do that maybe you don't necessarily have to do. For example, like I have somebody by the name of Nais. She goes in, she sends messages. If you got a message from me on Facebook and Instagram, it wasn't me, it was from her. And she's the one who connects and reaches out to people, asks them about like, hey, would they be interested in learning more about this? Shares about my YouTube videos, all those kind of things. And then at the end of the day, I go in and I respond to people where she's like, hey, this person needs your specific help. So I don't have to go through, 42 different messages every single day with people like asking me questions. It's her, she flows through it, and then I get to go in afterwards. It's the greatest money that I could ever spend, because I don't have any of the issues that would typically happen if I had to overthink every single conversation that we're having. Also, Kurt, for example, like if you've seen any of the amazing YouTube videos, they're not me. I mean, they might be me talking and Teresa talking. I almost said Alyssa, which is our daughter.
Mhm.
And they're us talking, but that he makes it come to life. He's like magic with what he
He's
does.
so good at it.
Adding the bloopers in and then the beginning and getting people's attention. Guys, I don't know how to do any of that. I seriously don't. And I don't need to, because I have him that's able to like really excel in that area. And we lean on him to help us in there. And I help in the coaching aspect of things. And it's like those things where it kind of like works together in synergy, and finding like that virtual assistant to help you, even if it's 5 hours a week. I know for ours, we do 40 hours a week for both of them. But like just starting out at 5 hours, you're going to be amazed. You're going to be like, wow, I took those things off my plate. Can I give him 5 more hours? I'm messaging Kurt like every week. Hey, can you work the weekend? Can you do some extra stuff this week? Because I'm like, not only does it get done better and quicker, but it frees me up to do the things that actually make the impact in the business. Okay. All right. And the last one, Teresa, you want to hit it?
Yeah, the last one we just put cleaners
Yeah.
because I talked about this earlier. It's just maybe having somebody come and clean your house. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there is times when, doing laundry takes a long time,
Mhm.
and it's sometimes there's that feeling like I don't want somebody to come and clean my house, but you know, when you haven't done it yet, it's like, and then you do it, you're like, wow, I just came home to a clean house. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have
Yep.
to pick stuff up. I don't have to wipe the counters. I could just, do whatever, spend time with my husband or spend time with my kids and not have to worry about that, or, take care of the really important things in my business. But and it doesn't have to be like this super consistent thing. It could just be like, hey, you know what, this week I really need somebody to come and deep clean my house. It's really a mess. And then you hire somebody to do it. And it's just something that is really hard sometimes to that task to let go of. So I actually do it every other week. So I will clean the house, do spot cleaning, and then they do deep cleaning every other week. So that has been something that has really freed up a lot of our time.
100%. And I want to hit this up in like a coaching angle, okay? Because sometimes when I coach moms through this specifically, it doesn't normally happen to dads, but it happens to moms, is they tend to think that as a mom, they have to do that. If they don't do it because their mom did it and their mom did it, like it makes them a bad mom. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. It does not make you a bad mom that you want to grow your business and spend more time with your family. And because of that, you're getting somebody else to support them. Remember, you're paying them, right? They need to have a business. They need to like get paid by coming in and cleaning and doing all those kind of things. And they probably do it better than you. Let's be honest.
100%.
Elizabeth put in the chat here, if I lived in California, I would offer my service. Elizabeth, I would probably pay you 5 times as much as we pay our cleaners because I know the level of not only energy that you put into it, but like the meticulous, like cleaning that you would do, right? It would like be like a game changer to be able to come home to a house like that, right? But it's also like thinking about this in terms of like, all right, this doesn't make me any better or worse or anything of a person, of a mom, of a human. This is just me using my skills like in a better area that I can effectively like help more people. Let me ask you, take this back, all right? Think about this for a second, okay? So Teresa, it could be up to $1,000 for one call with a person, which is an hour. How much do we pay a cleaner to come in and clean? Well, we pay 2 cleaners. I think it's like $170 to come in and clean. If in that 1 hour, Teresa gets a client versus like doing like cleaning, it's going to take her more than 1 hour, by the way.
Ooh,
like because
5 hours.
Yes, the way that they clean is like they're on point. In an hour and a half, they're done. I want you to think about the investment. If you had 5 hours of your life back and you found one client to take that up, and the other hours you didn't do anything but just spend time with your kids and just relax, that would be a positive net investment. Like you'd be making, I don't know, subtract 1,000 from 180, like, you'd be making $820 more, $820 more by being able to do that, by just leaning in and saying, I'm going to outsource this thing. Like, yes, I get it. Sometimes it could also be that thing where, it's kind of like your relief zone. You're like, hey, I'm in the zone right now. And Teresa will do that too. She'll be like, hey, I want to organize something. I'm like, go for it. Like you can pick something. It'll be like immaculate, but it's a way sometimes that she helps her brain kind of like to organize stuff. But I also want you to think like, sometimes cleaning the house is because you don't want to do the tough activities that you should be doing in your business. Mm-hmm. This is my smiley face because I love you guys so much. But sometimes your house is so clean because you don't want to feel uncomfortable and reach out to people and sell your program or your product or take that next course or do whatever it is. And you're like, well, if I clean my house, this makes me a good person. And what it does is you're shifting because you don't want to feel the uncomfortableness. And instead you're doing buffering, which buffering can be cleaning your house and playing with your kids and all these things if it's not the time to do that. All right. So really, guys, I want you to think about this in terms of what is the first thing that I need to outsource? I don't care where you are in your business. I don't care if you have a business or not. I don't care if like whatever, like even if you don't have a business, freeing up an hour of your time per day, what would that do for your life? How much more of an impact would you be able to make by spending time with your family, by exercising, by like not being rushed to every single thing? That's one thing I hate. I hate feeling like I'm being rushed from this thing to this thing to this thing. All right. Instead, what would that give you when you decide to make that change? So what is the first thing you can do to outsource? Who are you going to ask? How are you going to outsource it? Are you going to use a computer? Are you going to use technology? Are you going to use a friend? Are you going to use a partner? Like just pick one of these, all right? But who are you going to use? And then also put it on your calendar. When are you going to really think about this? It may not be right now. Maybe you're just still stuck in the like 80-20. Like what are the things that I could remove or stop doing or do less of? And these are the things that I can outsource, right? And maybe you just need to set a time in your schedule going, next Wednesday, I'm going to sit down and ask myself what I'm going to outsource and who I'm going to ask. All right. Just put it on the calendar. All right. And lastly, here's what I have to end with is like, you may get to this point and you're like, number one, I want some more help with this. Like I want help. to be able to identify what is the most important activities. I want help to be able to not only excel in my business, but excel in my personal life. And you want us to help, either Teresa and I. You can go to the inside of the YouTube. I'm going to leave the link below. You can go to modernleadership.us/apply. So Teresa and I probably have space for 2 people to join our program right now so that we can help personalize like the 80-20, what's most important, and help you with that outsourcing, right? And there is one more video that we're going to share with you guys. If you're like, yeah, I really want to try and figure this out myself. I can't afford to work with somebody. That's totally cool. I'm going to leave you one more video, and it is called the 10 time-wasting mistakes busy professionals and parents can't afford to make in 2023. This is like one of our very first videos that we did live. And has been helping a ton of people because we actually help walk through that 80-20, not to the level of a one-on-one, but to the level of like going through a workshop. So if that is something that you're looking to do, spend some time going through that. It's a longer workshop. It's about an hour, but take the time to identify what's most important and figure out who to outsource. And if there's any way that me or Teresa can help, please don't hesitate. Reach out. We're here for you. We appreciate you doing the tough things. Guys, here's the thing. As a business owner, as a parent, as a career professional, like trying to take this all on is so noble. Like the world needs leaders like you to step up, but it doesn't need to be done the way that you think it has to be done. There are millions of ways to get you to achieve all of those things by having you do less. All right, if you're willing to find those things, you're going to find them. Just program your brain to think about like, what are the things that I could do that would have me achieve more by doing less, and not think in terms of head voice, which is lack, scarcity, fear, all those things that kind of like come up. Well, I don't know what to outsource. I don't know. Don't allow yourself to think that. Instead, think, you know what? There's a way that I could achieve more and do less. And if we can help you, if you want to watch that next video that can help you, it doesn't matter to us. We just want what's best for you so that you don't burn yourself out or sacrifice your family time. Those are the 2 most important things to me in the world, is to let you know that you do not have to do any of that as long as you're willing to believe something different. Teresa, anything else?
No. That's
Okay, and I promised I wasn't going to ask you that, and I just did it. All right, guys, appreciate you so much. You have an incredible freaking weekend. If there's anything we can do for you, don't hesitate. Reach out.